Hi again. My name is Sami. I will be visiting the exponent rules that you have to know for grade 10 going forward. So when you multiply in variables with exponents, what do you do to the exponents? You add them. So this becomes, instead of x to the a times x to the b, it just becomes x to the power of a plus b. So basically, so x to the 7 times x to the 2 just gives you x to the 9 because you're adding the exponents. If you're dividing, you minus the exponents. If you have x to the 7 divided by x to the 2, that becomes x to the 5 because you're minusing the exponents. If you have an exponent outside of the brackets and you have exponent inside the brackets, so what you do, you multiply the exponent outside the brackets into the exponent inside the brackets. An example, if you have x to the power of 7 and you have a 2 outside like this, what this becomes is x to the 14. Yeah. How about if we have a negative exponent? If we have a negative exponent, we just flip this because this is over 1 and we make it 1 over, and that allows me to make the exponent positive. We always want to try to make the exponents positive when we're solving. So an example, x to the negative 7 will give me 1 over x to the 7. How about if we have two negative exponents, one on the top and one on the bottom? So what you do, these will exchange places, and this x to the negative b goes to the top, then the b becomes positive, and the x to the negative a on the top goes to the bottom, and the a becomes positive. So there are examples. So if we have x to the negative 7 over x to the negative 2, you could just change that to x squared over x to the 7. And then the last thing here, you have to know how to change from exponential to radical. So if we have x to the power of 7 over 2, for instance, this would become the square root. There's a 2 here. We don't usually write it. X to the 7. And these are the exponent rules. We'll move forward and then start doing some questions. And that way, you'll see how this works. But these are the rules that you're supposed to know going forward. So here is a practice of an exponent exam. So we'll just do these 9 questions so you could explore how the rules work. So there you go. I just need a pen there. So the first question, basically, you're multiplying. So 2 times 2 is 4. X times x, remember, if we don't write an exponent, there's a 1 on each one. So you add the exponents when you're multiplying. So that gives you x squared. Here, you multiply the 2 and the 3 first, you get 6. And m cubed times m cubed, you add the exponents, that becomes m to the 6. Here you have p times 2p squared. You know there's a 1 in front of the p there. So 1 times 2 is 2. And p times p squared, you know the p has a 1 as an exponent, so you add the exponent, you get p to the 3. Here, the first thing we have to do the exponents outside the bracket. So you know the x has a 1, and we know we said the exponent outside the brackets gets multiplied in the exponents inside the brackets. So that's will give me x squared because 2 times 1, and then y to the 8 times negative x to the 5, and y squared will just cancel because anything to the power of 0 gives you 1, and so 1 times x to the 5, just x to the 5. At this stage, you're multiplying positive times negative, so the answer is negative. X squared times x to the 5 gives you x to the 7. Y to the 5, y to the 8, sorry, just stays y to the 8. So here, another question, p to the 0. I'm just going to get rid of that because that gives me 1. And so you have an exponent outside the brackets. It gets multiplied into the exponent inside the brackets. So that's a to the 9 times negative a cubed. I'm going to get rid of b to the 0 here as well because that gives me 1. And therefore, positive times negative is negative. A to the 12 because you add the exponents. This one here. So we have a squared, b squared times b Negative 3 times 3 is negative 9. And now you have a squared and b squared times b to the negative 9, just b to the negative 7. We like to express the answer in positive with positive exponents. So this will give you a squared over b to the 7. So here's something simple you could do. If you have something that has a negative exponent, if it's on top, you just bring it to the bottom, make the exponent positive. You know, this is over 1. So just bring this to the bottom and make the exponent positive. That's all you need to do. You don't do anything to the a squared because the exponent there is positive. So you don't have to worry about that one. How about next question? Remember, there's a 1 here. So when you have an exponent outside the brackets, it gets multiplied into exponent inside the brackets. M to the 0 will cancel because anything to the power of 0 is 1. And also when you square a negative, it becomes positive because negative times negative is positive. So here on top, we end up with 2 squared, n to the 6 all over. What I'm going to do, this n to the 0 is just going to cancel. I'm going to multiply the bottoms now. There's a negative 1 in front of here times 2. That's just negative 2. And m to the 4, n to the 4, which equals 2 squared is just 4, n to the 6, negative 2, m to the 4, n to the 4. Now this 2 here would cancel and 4 becomes 2 because you're reducing. 2 goes into both of them, goes into 2 once and goes into 4 twice. Now also you reduce with when you have fractions. So n to the 4 goes into itself once, but it goes into n to the 6 n squared times, and that's all you could do. So your final answer here is going to be negative 2n squared over m to the 4. And the reason it's negative because that negative on the bottom, we like to write it on top because basically negative 2/3 is the same as negative 2/3 like that is the same as 2 over negative 3. All of these are the same. We don't like the negative to be on the bottom. We always either write it in front of the 2 or write it in front of the whole thing. But this is fine too, but it's not, it doesn't help you if you're doing adding and subtracting fractions. Okay, so just get rid of that. Now, how about here? So it looks like it's getting a little bit more complicated, but we just do it step by step and it should be fine. So now here, the 2 has a 1 and the y has a 1. So this becomes 2 squared, which is 4, y to the 2, x to the negative 8 times negative x to the negative 4, y to the 4 all over x cubed all to the power of negative 1. We're just going to simplify inside first. So now we have multiplied the tops and we're going to get 4 y to the 6 x to the negative 12 all over x cubed all to the power of negative 1. There are so many methods to do this, and one of them is I like doing all the time. I bring the x to the negative 12 to the bottom and make the negative 12 positive, because as I said, if you have a negative exponent, you want to make it positive. If it's on top, you bring it to the bottom and make the exponent positive. If x to the negative 12 was here on the bottom, you want to bring it to the top, you just bring it to the top and make it x to the 12. So here we go. We have 4 y to the 6 all over x cubed and x to the 12 to the power of negative 1. And then just 4 y to the 6 all over x to the 15 all to the power of negative 1. And here's the trick now. You see how this exponent is negative? If you want to make it positive, all you need to do, just flip all of this. So it becomes x to the 15 over 4y to the 6, and automatically the negative 1 becomes positive when you do that. So you don't even have to write it because everything is to the power of 1. Thanks for watching. Please share with others so they could benefit, and like, comment, and subscribe on my YouTube channel. Till next time, stay tuned. Bye-bye.